So Bob, after the beaters, I think the first thing people notice when they see these spreaders are the tires. Let's go take a look at them.
Let's take a look.
These are some really aggressive looking tires, but these are just like for show, right? People don't actually use these in the spreader, do they?
Well, come on, Dave. These are the pride of our fleet. These are traction implement tires, and we at Hagedorn were probably the leaders in introducing traction implement tires for manure spreaders in North America. This particular tire is made for us, this size is made for us by Alliance Tire in Israel, and it's an exclusive. Nobody else in North America has this tire in this size. They come in jumbo sizes for big spreaders, and we use them on our bigger spreaders, but in a modest size for this size of spreader, nobody else has it.
So what's the benefit of this over a regular old used truck tire?
Oh, Dave, come on. What are the benefits? The first one is it looks good.
I'll give you that one.
Okay, flotation. They are a low pressure tire, so they're low compaction. The tread design is made to actually help the tire stay on top of the ground. If you look at the tire, the tread pattern, you'll probably tell me, like most people do, that it's backwards. Most people look at it and they think it should be like a tractor tire and it should be pointing the other way around. But you have to think about that in a different way. You have to think that in this case it's the ground that's driving the tire, because there's no power to the tire, so the ground is driving it, and the action of the ground driving the tire with the correct tread shape actually makes the tire keep climbing up on top of the ground. If it gets down in the ground, it climbs right back up again.
Wow.
The tread design, also how the tread bars wrap around the shoulder of the tire, that helps to prevent turf damage when you're taking the machine through a turn, because it can sort of roll. And you see the tread lug leads, so as you're going through a turn, the shape of the lug and the turning of the machine again helps keep the tires and the machine on top of the ground and minimize the damage to the turf and minimize compaction.
What about these big treads? Don't they drag dirt all over the place when you're coming in and out of the field?
No, amazingly, Dave, they don't. The shape of the tire, the shape of the lugs, they shed dirt. As you're coming out of the field, any mud that does stick to the tire, it falls off almost instantly. It just, unlike conventional treads that the dirt gets packed in them, these ones shed the dirt.
Wow, well, that will make a lot of neighbors happier.
I like the guy that goes past my place.
So let's talk about what connects these massive tires to the machine.
Okay, we can do that. There are three components to good axle design. One is having good tires. We also have other types of tires besides these, but these are the best tires and they're the ones we like to show. The other one is having an adequate axle design to carry the load, which gets pretty big in the case of manure spreaders. The axle also has to have precision in its alignment to allow it to operate at high speeds and without wearing the tires. And the axle has to be properly placed on the machine for weight balance so that we have neither too much nor too little weight transfer to the tractor. Weight distribution is important because this is a mid-sized spreader, the smallest vertical we make, but in spreader terminology it would be a mid-sized spreader, and we're talking loads of 13, 14 tons. Those kind of loads can do some pretty funny things to a tractor if you have too much or too little weight transfer to the tractor. So one of the features that helps us to be good at that is our long frame. Most manure spreaders are a little shorter in the frame. That makes it a little harder to get the weight distribution right. When we moved 3.5 years ago into vertical beater design, we had to rethink our axle placement because vertical beaters in themselves have a massive weight attached to the back of the machine. So to correct that, we actually moved the axle back a few inches from its traditional location, so we maintain that balance. The axle itself is rugged. We've large diameter tandem spindles running on aluminum bronze bushings, which are almost indestructible. Those pivot bushings are greased from a location here on the side of the machine, so there's no crawling under the machine.
That's handy.
The axle structure itself is quite heavy, and we have fixtures within our plant that ensure the axle alignment, both in terms of camber and toe in, are correct, so that even with a fully loaded spreader, the tires stand up where they're supposed to stand up. None of this looking like this. And
So there's actually camber on these,
absolutely.
not
Yep.
just a regular straight flat axle. These are actually have camber so that they tow better.
These have a camber to make them tow better. They also have a slight amount of toe in to make them track nicely behind the tractor. And those things are done quite precisely in our factory. And the final part is the hubs. Traditional hub design has a large bearing at the back, smaller bearing at the front. Well, as the size of the tires gets wider, and these are about the smallest tires that we use nowadays, you can see that there's more load on the outside bearing than there is on the inside one. So that's really kind of a silly design. So we actually, for this spreader, we had to have a hub designed that had a larger outer bearing to deal with that, and that's corrected that problem. I guess what we're proud of at Hagedorn's is that we talk to farmers. So we put our factory phone number on every machine so people can call us. We get to talk to people, find out what their problems are, and get to deal with them, and that's what makes the job fun. This machine, Dave, is equipped with drop axles, which has the effect of lowering the overall height of the machine by 6 inches. The other machine has straight axles, puts the machine up a little higher, increases the ground clearance. The driving factor in whether a person would choose drop axles or straight axles, actually there are two. One, that it has to match the tractor, and then the farmer's ability to load it. But you can see with this machine, even with the optional drop axles, which lower the machine, we still have great ground clearance.